Hello everybody, it's me, Chaos. This is my very first video ever. I'd like to ask that you keep an open mind and just bear with me, okay? Because this was very hard to do for a first time. I decided since it's just like a few days or maybe a week by the time this video comes out after St. Patrick's Day, I would redraw a scene from one of my favorite St. Patrick's Day movies, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. The scene I decided to go with was whenever they're in the horse stable and Darby O'Gill is teaching Brian Connors, I think that was his name. He's teaching the Leprechaun King the wishing song in an attempt to trap him and then get his 3 wishes. I started by just roughing out the background. I had a reference photo. It doesn't show here, but I did have a reference photo for it. I'd highly suggest using reference photos. And then I went in with roughing in the basic forms of the characters. For the Leprechaun King, I decided to give him a little bit more of a wispy frame than he had in the movie, just because I like the idea of him being this wispy elf man. You'll notice I'm doing a lot of freehand drawing here. I have a basic circle to get the idea of the head placement, but as far as bodies and limbs go, I'm just freehanding it, because I find that gets a more cartoon look to the drawing, and it has a bit more of a natural movement to it. Cartoons are art, and no one will ever convince me otherwise. So I color in their props, like the jug and the cups, blue, just so that I can tell them apart. And then I go in with the basic line art for the environment around them. You'll notice that in the background I used thinner lines, and that's just to give a more three-dimensional feel to it. And I do some slight wrinkles on the sack, and then I color it in with mostly browns and neutral tones, like browns, dark reds, and grays, a little bit of yellow, because this is supposed to be a really, really old shed. And I did have a brush that I could have used for the stoneworks, but I decided to draw them in by hand just to get a bit more natural, chaotic feel to it, and I really liked the effect it had. After going in with some light shading on the stones and the environment, I move on to roughly sketching out the actual details of the 2 characters. In the reference photo I had, the Leprechaun King actually had his crown on crooked, so I kept with that. I felt it was a good character choice. Like, he doesn't really care that he's king, but he'll do it anyway. I just roughed in his hands, the cup, the cape. I did add some circular shape language in there, just because he's a nice guy in the movie. He's just a tricky little fella. And so after doing him, I move on to Darby O'Gill himself. The eyes were a little big, I fixed that later, but I give him like a kind of sly face here, because he's tricking the Leprechaun King. He's deceiving this guy to try to get wishes. And it was so much fun drawing his outfit, because he had so many layers and different textures that I got to play with, different angles of the hands and wrinkles in the coat. It was a lot of fun, and after getting that in, I move on to adjusting the face and hair however I need, and then I go in with thick lines first to outline the silhouette of the characters and props, just because I find this makes their presence more prominent in the overall drawing, and then I go in with thinner lines to do details within the silhouette, like the face, the different lines between the beard and the head, and yeah, it's just this until I finish covering the entire rough outline, and then I move on to coloring them. I decide to make the Leprechaun King more saturated. That means that his colors are more vibrant and bold, because I don't know, I just like having fairy folk be more saturated. It adds to their mystical, whimsy vibe, and again, it's all up to you if you want to make it this way. This is just how I do it. After coloring them, I go in with some basic shading, just to get the characters, some lighting on the cups and jug, and then I move on to environmental shading, and finally I sign it. And here's the finished project. I'm calling this one The Wishing Song. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope there are more videos to come. And as always, God bless you.